Good afternoon, good evening, or good morning, where you may be, guys, as we head into week number 3. We will discuss week number 2 really quickly, but as always, here to uh, bring you your weekly aloha. And we'll start with the quote of the week, which is from Maya Angelou, who says, "Do the best you can do until you know better. Then when you know better, do better." And nothing is more applicable than the last couple of weeks that we've had. Can you imagine? Anyway, all right, as far as last week, guys, first of all, I want to touch on the fantasy advice we gave you guys really quick. Unlike other in-depth sites and platforms and people, we just touched on it just briefly a little bit, cutting through the BS. And what we did tell you was, for instance, we said at quarterback to take as the not obvious or the bargain. We pointed out two in both Bo Nix and in Tampa Bay's. Gosh, I'm blanking really quick, but Baker Mayfield. Sorry, Baker Mayfield. So on those two, seems to be doing good, considering you got them in, as we talked about, in the ninth round or later. The tight ends, I think that we really nailed it. We told you about Tyler Warren out of Indy, and we also talked about Dalton Kincaid with the Buffalo Bills. Both of them have been very nice, considering Kincaid went undrafted in a lot of leagues, and Warren was down there in the 10th round or later. Again, we hit those two. For the running backs, we told you to take both Seattle backs, and then, obviously keep watch with the news to see which one's going to start. But by having them both, you would end up with the RB1 from the Seattle Seahawks. Sorry for the delay, or sorry for the miscommunication. As we were talking about it, we also mentioned that with Baker came Emeka Egbuka. We had talked about him just a little bit, that he and Mike Evans should do well with Baker. But we had talked about Emeka Egbuka, and hopefully you picked up on that. And he has been having an amazing first 2 weeks. My ride or die was Davante Adams, and so far, head to head, my ride or die versus the famous guy on the other TV station, whose ride or die was Omarion Hampton with the LA Chargers. Thus far, it's only 2 weeks, I get it, but in 2 weeks, we are significantly outscoring him, our ride or die versus Hampton. And I'm not downplaying Hampton. I have him on a couple of my teams. I think that he will do well, but Davante Adams and Stafford, of course, have been hooking up. We talked about a little bit in the thing that no one's ever brought up about the kickers, and we gave you specifically, we talked about two and touched on a third, and that was the Dallas kicker, who has outscored most tight ends and wide receivers through 2 weeks. Aubrey, we also had Boswell with Pittsburgh that we suggested, and we did say take a look at Cam Little because he can hit from 70 yards, and that would make it quite interesting. But in any event, we wanted to just let you know that and then all the defenses. We talked about Broncos defense, the Vikings defense, the Steelers defense, and the Patriots defense due to culture, with a deep sleeper on the Seahawks defense, especially in the secondary. And so far, through 2 weeks, we are looking pretty good there. Talking about last week, we didn't do that well. We didn't die, but we did. In the morning, we really did well. We had a couple of nice, easy wins and blowouts, and we had even touched on like the game with Detroit, which we didn't make it a pick, but Detroit, we did say that we would side with Detroit. That turned out to be the blowout. We did take in week 2 the Buffalo Bills, But the one that we kind of got screwed on was the Dallas game. Who knew Russell would show up and have such a big game? And of course, that defense, the Dallas defense, giving up that touchdown late to allow the Giants to go up by 3, and then Dallas would have to take it in overtime. But I believe they were giving 3.5, so that basically killed us there. We did give you CeeDee Lamb. If we said if you had FanDuel, CeeDee Lamb, FanDuel, or the DraftKings to take him over 6.5 receptions, he went well over. I lost track when he was at 10 because that was an easy win there. In the second set of games, what sucked, if everybody was watching, and we wanted to talk about this a little bit, was Arizona was easily in hand, and they were up, I believe, let me get my notes here. It was ridiculous at like 20 something to 3. Yes, so they were up 27 to 3. Then late in the third quarter, they're up 27 to 9, and then I don't know what they were thinking. Offensively, they kind of stopped moving the ball. Defensively, they gave up big plays, and then they gave up 13 in the fourth quarter, thus giving them a backdoor cover. So we did not do well. And then on the Denver game with Indy, anyone watching that game, Denver misses an easy chip shot late in the fourth quarter that would have put them up by 5, then requiring Indy to score a touchdown, which more than likely doesn't happen, and there's the cover. But instead, they missed the field goal. Indy then drives to make it a 60-yard field goal. So we were thinking, okay, for those who get to drop the half a point or at least a straight out win, because a lot of times what we talk about is we want a straight up win, and Denver against Indy was our first straight up loss of the year. Go back and look at all of our picks. The ones that covered were nice. If it was a dog, a lot of our dogs actually went out right, but Denver was our first straight up favorite that lost outright, thanks to the phantom touching of the center at the 60-yard line with the kick, and then they got to re-kick it from the 45 with a 15-yard penalty, which absolutely kills us. And if you guys listen to any sports talk radio all week long, that was one of the things that was brought up. Again, no excuses, but what we try to do is we look at the most likely outcome. What we try to do first is give you the straight up winner, followed by, and then, of course, the spread. So this week, we've got some interesting picks for you guys, and we're going still with the free model. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I haven't been telling you guys that because I'm new at this. But anyway, like and subscribe. Hit the like and subscribe button. And again, we're going to keep on top of this for you guys, and we are not even going to consider going to a pay model until we get you guys well in the plus. Okay, we want to earn your guys' trust. We want to show you guys what it's all about. And the main thing is, for those of you who really understand football, what we're going to want to do is show you that with our picks, you're always in the game until the end. You're not on the wrong side of a 20, 30, 40 point blowout. Every one of our picks has been tight within a score. Like last week, our over-under with Pittsburgh, Seattle. We missed that because of a fluke special teams play that ends up a free touchdown for Seattle, and instead of staying under the 41, it gets over by 6 or 7. I think it goes over, but that's the touchdown. And again, no excuses. But in everyone that we hit nicely, and everyone that we missed by barely a score. Most of our, except for the Denver in the year and first 2 weeks, we haven't had an outright loser. And on that first and only over and under, we missed by a fluke touchdown. All right, so let's get to this week. Enough crying. We'll get to this week, and we'll show you guys we're back on track and ready to rock. All right, the games that I'm going to talk about, many of the games, I'll let you know which ones are our actual picks. But we do know that some people like to cover a lot of different ground, so we like to touch on everything that we've got going on. Starting with the Rams, plus 3.5 versus the Eagles. This one is way too close to call, but I'll say it will show a lot of us the info on who these two teams are. the FBI, or the Football Power Index, that is very popularly used with handicappers and is prevalent on ESPN. The FBI is the Eagles are 57% to win by 3. Many calling for the Eagles to win, but the Rams to cover. That's a really dangerous model if you're going to pick one team to win, but then the other team, the opposition, to cover. So again, we looked at this long and hard. We do like the Rams plus 3.5, but we are not going to stick our necks out. That is not a game you want to put your money on. The next game we wanted to take a look at is the Green Bay Packers minus 7.5 versus the Browns. Lots of wise guy money on the Browns. I like Green Bay. I like last week, many took the Titans and the points versus the Rams. We told you to take the Rams. On this one, it's just this simple. If Green Bay is a for real Super Bowl team and wants to make that run, then this is a test for them against a great defense. Green Bay is minus 7.5, but I'm hearing you can find minus 7. Obviously, you'd want to take the best line at minus 7. If the refs don't get involved like they did in the Denver Indy game, Green Bay is the fastest team right now in the NFL, with the most balanced team right now in the NFL. The FBI, or Football Power Index, on this one is 71% by 8.4 points, giving 7 or 7.5. That looks like one that we like, and Green Bay has already shown us enough that we like. Not to mention, remember, they played on Thursday, so they had extra 2 or 3 days rest and practice versus the Browns that is I think being overlooked. This is one of our picks this week. Green Bay minus the 7.5 at Browns. Moving on to Atlanta, they look legit. Penix looks the part. Bijan might be the best running back right now in the NFL. Even the tight end Pitts looks rejuvenated, and Carolina looks like Carolina, but without Adam Thielen. Ugh. So Falcons defense has been carrying them through the first 2, but Penix is getting comfortable with his receivers, and like I said, with Pitt, the tight end. Bijan again running the way he's been running. This is not one of our picks, but we do lean or like Atlanta in this one minus the 5 points versus Carolina, but it is not one of our main picks this week. Again, so far one of our own main picks this week is Green Bay. We're just touching on all the games. Moving on to the Bucks. The Buccaneers have 3 offensive linemen out. Prior to that, we liked the Bucks minus 6.5 versus the Jets, but they are now missing 3 starting offensive linemen. That is huge. And even though the Jets is missing their quarterback and Tyrod Taylor is going to play, if anyone's watched Tyrod Taylor, he is very mobile, very exciting, very deep throwing. He throws the deep ball very well. And so above and beyond that, Tampa Bay has the FPI Football Power Index of 70% by an average of 8.4. So everything fell into line for Tampa to be one of our calls until that's why we do this so late, because we try to gather as much information as we can. And in this case, 3 offensive linemen are out for Tampa Bay. If we had to pick this game, we would take the Bucks, but this is a stay away for us because of the offensive lineman situation. Okay, moving on the next pick. This is one of our picks. It's unusual. We generally pick sides, but in this one game, Jacksonville and Houston, we do not have a strong opinion on the side. If we had to take the side, and we'll get to that later, we would lean Houston. What our pick is the over or under 44.5. Texans are 13-6 under since the start of last season, and the highest rate in the the NFL, 4 unders. They have the highest rate 4 unders in the NFL. So Jacksonville and Houston, both of their Houston's defense is playing lights out. Jacksonville, although they have moved the ball in the first 2 weeks, it's been against mediocre teams at best, and even then they kind of stall throughout the game. So we really like the 44.5 to stay under. And according to one of our gurus that we subscribe to with Cynthia Froyland, she has run this, and she comes out with a 21-20 Houston win. So we really like that with the under. So that's the second of our picks this week. We got Green Bay -7.5. We have the Jacksonville Houston game to go under. On Indy, here we go with Indy's QB. The play against Denver's defense is the reason for this pick. They're balanced, especially against equal or lesser quality teams. And Indy is a 69% FPI with ESPN to win by an average of 6.1, with Indy -4 points. We like Indy this week as a favorite. And so that is our third pick of the week. We're going to take Indianapolis, mainly and especially because, again, if you watch the quarterback play last week, Jones against Denver, he was never really pressured against a very, very good defense, maybe one of the top 5 defenses in the NFL. And yet Daniel Jones did everything he wanted to do. And so this week we feel against lesser or equal competition, we like Indy -4. Moving on, Minnesota -2.5 versus the Bengals. Both sides have quarterback issues. The Vikings opened up a -5.5 line and then moved all the way down to 2.5 because of all the issues. Both have backup QBs. If you have to take this game, Cynthia Froyland, yet again, NFL Network, she has this game at Minnesota 25, Cincinnati 20. But why? Why bother if you have so many question marks to this game? Why bother to take it with so many other good games on the board? Moving on to Washington, the Commanders -2.5 versus the Raiders. Again, why? Jaden Daniels is out. Mariota is in at QB. All the pundits that we can find, all the ones that we listen to, and all the ones that we subscribe to have Washington winning, covering 26-20. And it was 6.5, but again, that's down to 2.5. So Washington winning by 6 would be a cover. But the FPI is 61%, or just over 61, at 61.87%. The FBI, and the average win is 4.7. So that's a cover, but there's just we feel there's too many question marks with Mariota and coming off the bench. So again, why bother when we have so many other good picks? All right, moving on really quick. We're going to touch on 3 games in a row here. These are not our specific picks, but what they are is we're suggesting an outright like dog winner. They call it a money line 3-team parlay, or if you want to do like a 3-team teaser where you get extra points to play with, or just a straight parlay where these are 3 dogs, but we think all 3 dogs could win outright. That's why we're saying take a 3-team money line, which would pay you more in this case than a 3-team parlay at 6-1. But here it goes. We like the Pittsburgh -1.5 versus New England. Take New England and the 1.5. What's wrong with the Steeler defense? No one knows. New England has a culture shift under Coach Vrabel. Rodgers is already hinting to being unhappy. Tomlin might be past his due date. Drake May has been efficient, and they have yet to really get Travion Henderson going in their #1 running back draft from April. So the upset alert is, again, take the money line with any parlays or teasers that you can find, and New England to win outright, or with any teaser points you can get to add. If you play this game, again, we're not calling this as a straight out one of our picks. This is a special 3-team parlay where you have 3 dogs that we think will win outright, but you're going to want to put money on them as a together, not individually, as you want to get the best odds, and all 3 have to come through. The second of the 3 is, now this is where it's conflicting on this game. We have lines all over the nation where the Cowboys are plus 1.5, and we have seen where it's an even or a pick 'em, and we have one or two lines where the Cowboys are -1. If the Cowboys are -1, think it through or reduce this to a 2-team money line parlay with the dogs and skip the Cowboys. But if you have the Cowboys plus the 1.5, go ahead and take them, as we like the 1.5 points to win in like a 21-20 scenario. So again, the 3-team parlay would be New England Cowboys, and the last team or the third leg of this parlay would be Houston plus 1.5 versus the Jaguars. Another dog winning outright. The under is 44.5, by the way, and that also is one of our plays, right? We have that one as one of our plays, the under 44.5. But in the case of the 3-team parlay, we like New England over Pittsburgh, Cowboys over Bears, and Houston over the Jaguars. And the defense for Houston is legit. They've played the Bucks and the Rams defenses. They held the Rams to 14. And this is a divisional battle, so consider them ready for it, and they'll keep it close. And in the end, we think that they get their first win of the season. All right, moving on to a big game that we're excited about. Not taking a side or total in this one, but Denver plus the 3 versus the Chargers. If you held a gun to our head, we would actually take Denver plus the 3 in this game. This is a battle for the AFC West, and this one is one of the best games to watch this weekend. If I had to bet, like I said, I'd take the 3. It's a lot in a game like this. Enjoy the game, collect the data. Winner of this game, in our opinion, might be the winner of the AFC West, and definitely, we believe, will make the playoffs. Whoever wins this game, we believe, will make the playoffs, as sending a message in the first third of the season that they are the contenders of the AFC West. But again, we're not making this one of our solid picks. If we had to, if you held a gun to our head, we would lean Denver plus the 3. But next, coming up, one of our actual picks, Seattle minus 7.5 versus New Orleans. Now, I know that's a lot of points to lay, and Seattle has not been the best home team over the last season. They used to be undefeatable under Pete, but now, and since McDonald has come onto the scene, they've been building and getting the culture back. And for that reason, if you looked at the way they shouldn't have lost in week 1, they went into Pittsburgh last week and showed who they really are. We believe that this game is going to easily cover the 7.5. Here is what Cynthia Froyland has this one at 23-17, which makes us a little bit nervous because she is a master at the numbers. But I'm willing to bet Seattle finds their rhythm and runs the ball, and their defense unleashes at home, even with all the injuries that there's like 3 main starters in the secondary that aren't playing. I'm willing to bet Seattle and McDonald will have them ready. The flip side of this is I'm willing to bet Rattler, Spencer Rattler for New Orleans, is as bad as his first 9 games. He is 0-9 in his first 9 starts. Add the stadium, the 12s, and it's a long day for the Rattler. I'll lay 7.5 and count on the Seattle defense at home with the 12s. All right, and then finally, we have Arizona plus 2.5 versus San Fran. It's a divisional matchup, and Kyler Murray, the last 2, has beat the 49ers outright. But with San Fran's QB issue with Mac Jones as the starter, it makes it hard to foresee what happens. They did go on the road and win last week. If I had to take a side, it would definitely be Arizona. But one pundit talked about Arizona, that they might be the worst 2-0 team in the NFL, like they screwed us last week. So again, we don't like this game. We're not taking a side. If gun to our heads, we'll lean Arizona based on the last 2 matchups. But so for this season, or for this week, week 3, again, going through it, we're going with the Green Bay Packers minus 7.5. Jacksonville and Houston under the 45.5. We like Indy minus the 4. We're taking the Seattle Seahawks minus the 7.5. That's our 4 main picks, along with that 3-team parlay that we like New England, the Cowboys, and Houston to win outright. So you can take them with the points, or you can take a money line. Again, a 3-team money line, if all 3 are dogs, should pay you more than a regular parlay. We probably, like if we were in Vegas, we would probably do like $10 on a 3-team parlay and $10 on a 3-team money line parlay with those same 3 teams, and then probably even do a $50 or $100 3-team teaser where you get plus or minus somewhere between 6 and 8 points depending on what casino you're in. One more game that we will touch on really quick because of the popularity of it is Kansas City minus the 6.5 versus the Giants, because many are calling for KC to open up 0-3. Many are taking the points and taking the Giants, especially they're talking about the wise guys and the smart money and the early money and all of that. I'd say I would not lay 6.5. I would not bet this game, but if you put a gun to my head for the eliminators, I would take Kansas City. I don't see Andy Reid and Mahomes starting the season 0-3. They find a way to win, but they probably can't cover the 6.5. So for those of you that play eliminator, that's a good one that you might want to take a look at if you can't come up with something. There's honestly way better eliminators like Baltimore on Monday night. Again, you've got the Cowboys. You could take Seattle just as without the point, minus the points as the eliminator. Indianapolis, the Green Bay Packers is a strong one. So there's many other eliminators there to play. And so I don't see why you'd have to stick your neck out and do a little bit more complicated games. Like, for instance, again, Pittsburgh, New England, even though we believe that New England wins outright, we know it's going to be a really tight game down to a field goal or less. So you kind of want, with the eliminator, you kind of want more of that easy win like Seattle at home. All right. Anyway, that is it for us this week. Again, we are sorry about last week that we didn't do so badly, because when you add it all up, especially with the CeeDee Lamb call over the 6.5 receptions, that helped out washing the over-under that we missed out on, and our sides were pretty even, but the outright winners still are rolling, except we finally got an outright loser in Denver on a weird call by the referees. But hopefully we get back on track this week. Again, like and subscribe, please, and we will be back next week with more solid picks for your NFL weekends. And just remember, as we always say, again, thank you, aloha and mahalo for checking in, and be good to yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll see you guys next week.